Hello and welcome to the 140k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I would like to say a huge thank you to Hunter Gamil for sending in some awesome pictures of his Imperial Guard, Strachan and Imperial Knight army. Absolutely fantastic, beautiful models. If you want to see some more pictures by Hunter, go and check out his Instagram painting account, which is legit miniature painting, and that's legit_miniature_painting. If I remember, I'll put the name down in the description below. If not, he is on my Facebook page. That's where he posts these pictures. I highly recommend you go and check his stuff out. It is absolutely breathtaking, and he has done an absolutely fantastic job on these Strachan. I would love to know where you got those turrets from. I think whilst they just look like KV2 turrets, look absolutely fantastic. So please, if anyone knows where those turrets came from, let me know down in the comment section below. But I love the little dioramas on the feet of the knight. Looks, it's all good. It's all good. So thank you for sending this picture in, Hunter. If anyone else has got any pictures they would like me to use in my videos, please post them on my Facebook page or email them to me directly, and there'll be Facebook links and email addresses down in the description below. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. So today, guys, I want to have a bit of a fun video. Just have a bit of fun with it. Just relax, just play around some wacky concepts. We often do a lot of serious tactics. There's no serious tactics. There's barely any tactics at this point. It's just ridiculousness, the channel. But one thing that I want to sort of dive into and have a little play around with is some combat guard characters. Now, guard and combat, we can do a good old bayonet charge, of course. But there's something heroic about a guard combat character because he's not meant to do it. I mean, we all know that. I mean, guard characters are meant to buff things, right? I mean, that's what they're meant to do. But there is something awesome about having a guard combat character. It's about him, drawing his ceremonial power sword, his family heirloom, and charging into the fight. One hand behind his back doing a fencing duel, or crushing skulls beneath his power fist. There's just something awesome about a guard combat character, and there's something kind of like there's that underdog feel with it as well, I guess. A lot of people expect to run to a guard character and even their basic intercessor or assault intercessor to just roll over him, and there's something very satisfying when your guard commander is able to turn around and just beat the crap out of them. It's nice. It's a good feeling. So I thought what we'd go through today, guys, is a few ideas for how you can run some guard combat characters. This is not the competitive thing to do, to be totally honest with you. This is a narrative and fun thing to do. The competitive thing with guard characters, just to establish this, is to keep them, especially officers, is to keep them as cheap as possible, and to keep and just use them for orders as buffing characters, and to not use them in combat and to just protect them. And the reason for that is that guard end up having a lot of characters, which means a good secondary to pick against us is assassinate. So when the enemy picks assassinate against you, you really don't want to just be throwing your guard combat characters into combat, because they're more than likely going to get exposed, picked off, and then you give your enemy 3 points. So just wanted to establish that this is for fun. And no, 40k is a very serious game, but sometimes we are allowed to have a bit of fun with it. Okay, disclaimer, bullshit out the way, let's get into the fun times. So the first thing to say is you can essentially buy yourself a nice pre-baked guard combat character if you so wish. There are plenty of special characters that we have which can do the old combat thing. First one that comes to mind that can be taken in any Imperial Guard army is Commissary Yarrick. This guy is an absolute beast. I actually really like Yarrick. He was actually one of my meta picks back in 8th edition when Slay the Warlord was just an extra point that a lot of people could get, because he's really tough. And Commissary Yarrick is one of the few characters that if you get him into combat, you don't need to worry, because there's a good chance he won't die straight away. He might actually fight his way out of it. He is pricey at 105 points, I believe, 110 points. But you could argue you get what you pay for. So he's a Lord Commissar stat line. So he's got weapon skill 2+, blitz skill 2+. He's only strength 3, which is a bit of a shame. But he is toughness 4, which is nice. And he has 4 wounds 3 attacks, leadership 9, and he comes with a 4+ regular save and a 4+ invulnerable save. He's got power field. Now, this is not going to be an in-depth look at Yarrick. He has an ability called Iron Will, which means when he gets down to his last wound, instantly a 3+ feel no pain kicks in. So he doesn't have a 3+ feel no pain all the time. So he has no feel no pain when he takes his first 3 wounds, but the moment he gets down to 1 wound, he gets a 3+ feel no pain. So that's actually really good and has saved my ass on multiple occasions. There's actually an old 8th edition battle port with my Steel Legion where that saves Yarrick and potentially wins me the game. So it's not to be underestimated. It's obviously good in combat. He naturally rerolls 1s for himself and for people around him, so that's good. Not only can he buff, that's in shooting and in combat. So he's got reroll 1s in combat, which is actually really quite difficult for Guard to get. And he, if you make him the Warlord, he has Master of Command Warlord trait, which is nice because that means he can issue orders like fixed bayonets and stuff. Now he can't issue orders to himself, sadly, just the funny wording around Master of Command, but you know, it's still cool. It's still cool. So, but what he comes with a Power Claw. Literally, he's got an Orc Power Claw, which is Strength times 2, so he's Strength 6 in combat, he's AP -3, and he's D3 damage, but he does -1 to hit when attacking with that weapon, so he essentially hits on a 3+ with his Power Fist. So that's nice. That is he's hit on 3s, rerolling 1s, he's tough as old boots, and he's got 3 attacks. Put him near a Priest, he's got 4 attacks. Nice. So that's a generic baked combat character. You've also got Colonel Ironhand Strachan. He's obviously only for the Katachans. He's hits on weapon skill 2+. He's strength 6, so he's like Yarrick because Yarrick's strength 6 is Power Claw. He's toughness 4 like Yarrick. He's got 1 extra wound than Yarrick so he's got 5 wounds, and he's got 1 extra attack than Yarrick because he's got 4 attacks. He doesn't have an invulnerable save, but he has a 5+ invulnerable save, which is a 3+ regular save, so it kind of balances out on the save thing there. Now, he actually has some really cool rules. So he's cheaper than Yarrick by about 25 to 30 points, so that's really nice. He doesn't reroll 1s though, okay, in combat in general. He does reroll hits against monsters, but monsters only, so not vehicles or infantry. So that's something. There's not a lot of monsters out there, but if you find yourself stuck in combat with the counter effects, Strachan, he gets full rerolls to hit against it, which is nice. He does give himself an extra attack and everyone around him an extra attack. So actually, he has 5 attacks basic. If you put him near a priest, he's got 6 attacks basic at strength 6. Now his main combat weapon is a bionic arm with Devil's Claw, which is basically like a big insect claw. And that is AP -1, damage 2. So it's not got the same AP as Yarrick. It's got the same average damage though. So essentially, if you're thinking, do I want to take Kamazar, Yarrick, or Strachan in my Katachan army? I'd probably say it's if you're looking from pure combat perspective, Strachan gets more attacks, Yarrick gets more rerolls. Yarrick has an AP -3, but Strachan hits on a 2. So there you go. So he's a nice, easy baked, awesome character. Now, before we get into regimental specific combat characters, I would like to give an honourable mention to the Lord Commissar. You see, the Lord Commissar is a surprisingly good close combat character. He has 3 attacks basic, so near priest he's got 4 attacks. He comes with a power sword, so he's actually strength 4 with that power sword, AP -3. And he has a weapon skill of 2+. A lot of people don't realise this. Lord Commissars have a weapon skill of 2+. It's one of the highest. It is the highest generic weapon skill and ballistic skill in a generic guard character. I like using Lord Commissars in my Imperial Guard pure infantry army. Because they fill out HQ slots whenever I'm taking 3 battalions to get access to as many troop slots as possible, but also if my enemy doesn't pick Assassinate against me because they're like, well, I know you're going to screen your characters as much as possible and you're going to make it really difficult for me to get Assassinate, which some of my regular opponents know that, Lord Commissars can run out there and then be quite effective combat characters. And again, there's multiple examples and battle reports on this video of my Lord Commissars, give a lot of my officers power swords, pulling out their power swords and bullying enemy units with those power swords. And Lord Commissars are really effective, hitting on 2s with 4 attacks when combined with the priest, with 8 mastery and a +1 and strength 4 is not to be sniffed at, especially when it's only 35 points. It's a cheap power sword. And it's a cheap bit of power weapon attack. So something that gets an honourable mention. Now, let's get out of the generic shit and into the regiment-specific goodness. Okay. Oh, of course, honourable mention to Nork Dead Dog as well, and other Ogrin bodyguards. They've got lots of attacks that are high strength as well. So definitely honourable mentions to those guys. They've all got 4 or 5 attacks. When you start combining with priests and charging, yeah. So absolutely, definitely honourable mention to the open bodyguards and the Not Dead Dog. But what I really want to get into, guys, is some of the regiment specific stuff. So if you want to make a combat character, there is, in my opinion, a combat guard officer. Okay, an officer and a gentleman, a duelist, shall we say. There is three builds for doing this, essentially. Okay, so the first one is Destroying, which is perfect because we've got Destroying pictures on our video. So the first one is Destroying, and you take the Destroying specific Warlord trait, Honoured Duelist, and he re-rolls failed hit rolls and wound rolls in the fight phase. Just full on straight re-rolls. I mean, that is just insane. That's really powerful. So you just literally, you go, right, on a duelist. Full hit rolls and wound rolls in the fight phase. Thank you. And then, there's 2 ways you can go about this. You can either then give him the relic, something like the Blade of Conquest, to give him an extra +2 strength, AP -4, D3 damage, which is nice. Or you give him a Power Fist. Okay? Because he's got full rerolls to hit for us. So even though he'll be hitting on 4s with his Power Fist, you've got full rerolls, right? And then you make him really tanky, and you give him the Armour of Graf Tushenko, which gives him toughness 4 and a 2+ armor save. So your little guard commander becomes the same as a Terminator. 2+ save, 5+ vulnerable save with a Power Fist. But he's got more wounds than a Terminator. He's got 1 more wound. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I definitely think that's one way of doing it. Or you can give him like the Death Mask of Alonius, which would give him a 4% vulnerable save, and he heals D3 wounds each turn. So the Destroying one's really cool. So the second one that I think is a definite winner, and I have used this one, in fact it's my go-to when I'm playing fluffy Armageddon Steel Legion, is the Armageddon Steel Legion Warlord trait. It gives your Warlord an extra attack, and in addition, add 1 to wound rolls in the fight phase. So your Warlord goes from 3 attacks standard, 4 attacks because of his Warlord trait, 5 attacks because of his because of a priest being nearby. So 5 attacks, okay, with +1 to win. Now you're hitting on 3s, you haven't got any rerolls, but you're hitting on 3s. And my preferred way of then upping the ante is the Blade of Conquest, because it takes your Warlord up to that sweet strength 5. It's the best place to be on the wounding scale, strength 5. It means that you start bullying Space Marine characters really nicely. You can bully anyone with when you strength 5 with 5 attacks with +1 to wound. It's a very nice little combo. Don't forget that if your character somehow magically survives a round of combat with the enemy, when it comes to your turn again, you can use the order Fixed Bayonets, which means if over the course of a couple of turns your commanders can get 3 rounds of attacks. You get an extra round of attacks in the fight phase, which is nice. So just be aware of that. Now the last one to mention is Katachan. Katachan lead from the front. Loads of stuff about heroic interventions, but long story short, in addition, if your Warlord was charged, or performed heroic intervention till the end of the turn, you can reroll failed hit rolls made for them. So you get full rerolls on that. And again, you can add in either a Power Fist there, and then the Death Mask of Alonius if you want it to be tanky, or you can go fluffy and go for the Mammoth Tusk Blade, which Katachan model of the Power Sword only. The Mammoth Tusk Blade replace the model Power Sword, and he gets +2 attacks, +2 strength, sorry, -3 AP, and a flat damage too. So it's a bit less swingy than the Blade of Conquest. So that's really cool. One last thing to mention, honourable mention to the Talan. They do have their own special relic, the Claw of the Desert Tigers. It is a power sword with a flat damage 2 and gives you 2 additional attacks. So your Warlord would get 2 additional attacks from the power sword, and then he would also get +1 for a priest. So your Warlord could get 6 attacks with a power sword, which don't forget, it's been FAQ'd now, it gives you +1 strength. So strength 4 with 6 attacks. Pretty nice. So those are some of the sort of honourable mentions here. Now, there is a lot of ways that you can go all out in the combat character sort of shenanigans, and one way that I think definitely deserves a sort of a mention, another honourable mention. How much honour is in this video? Is if you went Katachans, you could literally load up on all of this stuff. Okay, so you could take Strachan, who's already a combat beast. Okay, then you could take another commander, you could take another commander with the Blade of Conquest. Okay, you don't need to make Strachan your Warlord, by the way. We're not Space Marines here, so you could take another company commander and give him the Katachan Warlord trait, so that he then gets, rerolls to hit when he charges, and give him the Blade of Conquest. And then you could take another commander and give him the Mammoth Tusk Blade. So you'd have 3 combat characters in one place. You have them near Strachan, they're all getting +1 attack. You have them near a priest, all getting another +1 attack. So you'd have a lot of relics. Obviously, it's 3 CP to take those two relic weapons. Because you get 1 free relic, and then it'd only be 1 CP, wouldn't it? If you wanted to go even madder, you could take another crazy combat guard character and give him the Death Mask of Alonius, so that he's more of a tank. He's got that 4+ minimal save. So you could really go to town on these things. Or you could have a detachment of Katachans and a detachment of Destroyers and a detachment of Talan, and you could literally have Strachan, you could have Blade of Conquest, Katachan character, Mammoth Tusk Blade, Katachan character, Armour of Graftishenko, Destroying character, Claw of the Desert Tiger, Valhallan commander, and then tanky. There's so much you can do. You can have Yarrick on top of that. You could spend like 500 points on guard combat characters if you wanted to. There's a lot of combat potential there. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. That's all the options that I could think of. But let me know what you guys think. Is there anything that I've missed? Is there something on the Scion side, now, especially with the greater good, that I've missed out? Haven't really considered it, to be honest. Can you make a combat Primaris Psycho with the staff? The Astropaths now with their mandatory staff, are they something to take a look at? I'm sure there's loads of stuff that I've missed. So please let me know down in the comment section below, what is your favourite way of running your combat Imperial Guard commander, your gentleman duelist? Thank you for watching, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.